And that's wonderful about the American education system. It's definitely to teach you to have critical thinking, like, or to express your own concerns and your opinions about what you're learning.
My next guest immigrated to the United States from Taiwan when she was 15 years old. She and I met when her family hired me at their restaurant to be a hostess. She taught me some Chinese words and I taught her some English words, mostly just the word thong. I thought that was really important at the time. But we also discussed cultural comparisons, and because that's not something everyone gets an opportunity to do, I wanted to make this episode with her for you. Now she's back in Taiwan and she's the owner operator of an American themed bar. Today she's going to share her observations of Taiwan versus US culture in the areas of drinking, dating, communication, family, and food. She's a workhorse and a party girl, Taiwanese and American, Nikki Hardwick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, my 20 years friend of 20 years of friends. So we've known each other since we were 2, right?
Exactly, because neither of us are really telling our age.
No.
I feel like I'm talking to the future whenever we video chat because it's tomorrow there.
Oh, yeah, I'm way ahead of you. Sorry.
Well, I'm excited to compare cultures for my audience because it's special. You know, it's a perspective that not everyone gets to have. And I think it's a perspective not everyone knows that they should seek out. So I was kind of hoping that we could start by you sharing your perspective on what you thought Americans would be like while you were still in Taiwan.
Prior to me moving to America. Yes. I had always thought Americans were very open because when I was growing up, I watched shows like Beverly Hills 90210. So I had this like picture in my head that Americans were they would do whatever, they could do whatever they wanted to do. They're fun. Sexually, they're very open. So because of the show, and Americans were a lot less reserved than the Taiwanese, and I think easier to make friends with and easier to get along with. That's pretty much it. But I was also only 15 years old and based my entire idea of Americans on a TV show. So so I don't think that was very accurate at the time.
Well, you're not the only one. I spoke with a woman who immigrated from India as a grad level student, and she thought America would be like Friends.
Oh, right. Everybody looked just like Rachel.
Well, she thought that her dorm situation would be similar and that she would go make friends that easily. But I think it's pretty common for all of us to view another culture through the lens of, media and television.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, in the area of communication, obviously the first thing is the language barrier. It's the first step. So how would you describe your level of English when you moved to the US?
It was pretty much ground zero. I could not speak. I could probably say thank you. And if people ask me, how are you? I will only have one answer, which was what I learned in school. I'm fine, thank you. That was the only thing I could say. It didn't matter if I was having a really bad day, just wanting to kill myself or kill other people. I would still go, fine, thank you. It was always, I'm fine, thank you. So I couldn't speak a word of English before I moved to the States. That was, that was pretty much it.
And Mandarin has, as you taught me, Mandarin has lots of different.
Wait, how do you say thong? Can you say it now?
In Taiwan, in Chinese?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Did you ever teach me that? You can teach me now.
I thought that's what you wanted to learn. oh no, actually, that's what I wanted to learn. So I never really taught you in return.
Right. No, but I remember that moment very, very clearly. And I remember you telling me that the word for rice for example, that if you say it with an upward tonal inflection, it means one thing, straight across, it means another, and straight down, it means another. And I'm just curious, because that was really hard for me to understand with my Western trained mind. What do you remember?
Intonation, right?
Yeah, intonation's another thing too, but like the word y'all taught me was fawn. I know, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing it right, but isn't
That's
that
an English word. We're trying to teach Meredith.
Okay,
Let's learn English.
well, clearly I need to go back to Mandarin 101. But do you remember some of the more challenging aspects of the English language that when you were trying to get your bearings?
Well, learning English wasn't all that. I think it came naturally because if you are immersed in like um, the environment, like I was thrown into a high school that no one could speak my language. And I was also a teenager and I was desperately trying to fit in, trying to make friends, trying to get to know boys. So it was a lot easier for me to pick up the language from just hanging out with people. But at first, it was a lot of setbacks because I couldn't really understand what was going on in school. English class, math class, actually math. I excelled because y'all are very slow on math. When I was going to high school, I kid you not, when I was going to high school in America, what I was learning in America, I had already learned in third grade in Taiwan.
That
So,
hurts.
and the math teacher knew it too. It was very funny. He went, so how like 1,343 plus 943. And he just immediately turned around and go, Nikki, what is it? And I just went, it is blah, 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 blah. He went, I knew it. It's so stereotypical. Yeah. So other than math, everything was just like all of a blur to me. But I still got to be graduating, so it just means American system, education system is just downright easy up till college.
Well, you're not wrong. We definitely, I think in the overall spectrum of the American system or the educational system rankings globally, we're pretty low. We definitely have room for improvement. And I think that's one of the reasons that I think gaining some more global perspective in all areas, but definitely in the areas of like education could be really beneficial. Like I think it's a wrong approach to just think that the way you do things is the best simply because you think you're the best. It's important to go, oh, look what they're doing. That's a great idea. I'll do this. Oh, this isn't working. Let's change it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is cultural too. American family definitely like emphasize on building your self-confidence. You're good no matter what you do. And which is great, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. Like everybody needs a boost in confidence. But I think you do have to realize that, I mean, people are good at different stuff. It's not possible that you're good at everything, and you probably don't deserve to be praised on things that you're not very good at. I mean, you know what I mean? And I think in the Asian culture, it's definitely a little too extreme on the other side. But if you can find like somewhere in the middle, I think it'd be perfect.
Yeah, so you think it's not just the educational system, but it's also kind of that, what might be considered coddling and giving, participation awards, I guess you could say, that holds the American students back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Basically, it's down to that, and it's encouraging the freedom of speech as well, and which is great. Like I think you should be encouraged to speak in class, but you can. I mean, there is a limit. You can't interrupt other people, and it's just rude, and you can't. If you let everybody speak, how do you get anything done? So I think, and that was what was so so great about America when I first moved there. And I was very, very surprised. I went, wow, you could speak in class. You could tell a teacher what you think instead of just being told to shut up. There's no talking in class. And that's wonderful about the American education system. It's definitely to teach you to have critical thinking, like, or to express your own concerns and your opinions about what you're learning.
That's really interesting, because that was not something that I even knew that in another classroom in Taiwan that you just have to sit and absorb. You're not allowed to ask questions or say what you think about, Macbeth.
Yeah, that's very or Confucius, yes.
Or Confucius. Yeah. I would think that I would probably be taking a nap. I wasn't into that at all. But that brings up an interesting point about the like communication style as well. And you've noticed some other things about like American versus Taiwanese culture in the area of how we communicate and what we say.
Yeah, I think Americans are definitely like straight to the point. I love that. I love that about the Americans because a lot of times I think another like I always trace it back to culture. Asians are a lot more reserved. You would think of someone in a certain way and you won't let them know, but Americans will tell you right out in the face. I think there are pros and cons because I always say, I always use this example. When you go out to eat with your American friends, everybody order their own food and they pay for their own food. In Taiwan or in a lot of Asian countries, you go out and you go, oh no, I got this, I will pay for this whole meal. But then here in Taiwan, we will remember I pay for this meal. You better remember that next time. If you didn't, we would badmouth you and you're cheap and you don't appreciate and well, yeah. So I mean, why do it in a complicated way? Just be simple. I mean, this is why you order and you pay for it. So I like that kind of out in the open, more communicative way of the American way.
Does that lack of less, I guess not lack, but does the less forward approach to communication also apply in Taiwanese culture to dating? Like if you liked somebody and you were attracted to them, then it would be more culturally taboo to just be like, hey dude, I like you, let's go out sometime.
I say the younger generations are definitely changing. Sadly to say, I'm not part of them. But I think, I mean, there's still like this cultural taboo that maybe girls don't really ask for a date. They wait for the guys to come to them. I mean, I think that's pretty universal. I mean, we still do play a little bit of games to say, oh yeah, well, there's like a 3-day rule. You don't call people, you don't call back. But yeah, definitely. I think Asians are a little more reserved. You wait for boys to ask you out, basically.
Were you allowed to date as a teenager?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my parents didn't. My parents were very open-minded. They, of course, they wanted me to look for a rich Asian actor.
That's really specific.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Not a dentist, but doctor. Nothing against dentists. I'm so sorry.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think still nowadays, like a lot of, I still hear it from a lot of Asian parents saying that, oh yeah, well, maybe you should find someone that can provide for you. You don't have to make a career of yourself. And that is, I think, still more prevalent than America. Definitely.
Well, and you said they wanted you to marry another Asian person. And so that's something that could be different in more American families than Taiwanese families where, we're all, have multi-ethnic backgrounds, a lot of us. So not me, I'm like white mixed with some more white and some different white and northern white. but I don't know that, parents in America would necessarily say that they wanted you to date another person from the same, heritage.
I think it's a lot of it is cultural because I learned my English in America, but my parents never really, my parents, my aunts, uncles live in America for 30, 40 years, but they did not mingle with outsiders a lot. They hung out with family and friends who spoke Chinese. So a lot of them don't speak English as fluently as I do or my cousins do. And they feel like they can never really truly understand someone if they can't understand them, like if they can't communicate in the same language. So I think that is why a lot of Asian parents, especially the first generation of immigrants, do not want their children to be going out or being married to another people from another culture. But it's all changing as well. Like my family is pretty much a melting pot now. My cousin, I'm married to a white person, a British guy. My cousins are dating Americans. One of my cousins' girlfriend is Black American, so they're gonna have a Blackanese baby.
Oh,
So right, yeah. Well, that she's pregnant, so it's all pretty much melting and like even I think because through the time change, even the older generation are becoming more accepting towards different cultures now.
there's definitely I noticed different family dynamics. You're talking about family. When I was working with you at the restaurant, that was something that really stood out to me. I'm curious, as a teenager, your parents were obviously very open-minded. But as a teenager, any teenager can feel like their parents control their whole lives. Did you notice any difference between the other students in your school, their parents versus your parents, in as far as like how the family was run and their parenting styles?
Yeah, I think Americans are definitely more, they show their affections a lot more. I hear all the time, even with you and your parents. I remember coming over to your house and you and your parents were always like, oh, I love you, mom. I love you. I love you. You don't hear that kind of language around my household. And so I love that about the Americans, always saying, oh, I love you, mom. I love you, dad. I love you, my daughter. And that's great. That is like the showing of affection. I think it's very important. And it's pretty much conceit in the Asian culture. You don't really show your affections. But on the other hand, we also don't offend our parents the same way that Americans would. You even go, screw you, dad. You don't know anything about me and my life. Leave me alone. We don't. There are some exceptions, but in general, we don't exchange in that kind of language. So I think Americans are definitely more extreme. You would sit down and talk about each other's feelings, and that kind of stuff is generally not happening here in Taiwan or in mainland China either, I guess.
I definitely noticed that there was a lot more respect for elders in like just being around your family members.
Yes. We do. We have this, I think it's probably building, or maybe it was like just like an instilled value that's from a very young age, you're told to always respect elderly people. And from bowing to always say, whenever you're walking on the street with your parents, you see like an elderly person, they will always give you a nudge saying, oh yeah, say hello to uncle so say hello to aunt so and so. You have to. It's like a thing that you just do automatically, and you give them a title in the end, like auntie in in Chinese or uncle in Chinese, just to show your respect to elderly people.
It doesn't mean you're related to them. It's just
No,
saying like, ma'am.
yes, basically. And it's really annoying because you could, like, if it's very annoying because if you get to a certain age, like for me, they would call me like sister, which is like an older sister. But when you get a little older, like me now, you get called auntie. So like at the turning point that someone started calling me auntie, I went, oh, I'm a sister, not an auntie. Still respect me, but get it right.
Respect me, but yeah,
Yeah.
keep me in the sister category.
That's disrespectful. Auntie is very disrespectful.
So tell me about some food, because I was surprised when we were talking about this beforehand. You were like, can we talk about some food? And I said, absolutely, let's talk about food. So what's the big deal with food in Taiwan compared to the USA? Why is that a different thing that matters?
Food is such a huge culture here in Taiwan. Everything is food, 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 food. You know, like instead of saying, hello, how are you? People ask you, have you eaten, as a greeting. Yeah,
Really?
absolutely. It's weird. It doesn't matter what time of the day. So it would be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They would go, have you eaten? And if I were to be honest, I'll be like, of course not. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What are you talking about? I've eaten my breakfast and lunch. I mean, why is that important? But that's how important food culture is in Asia. And say if we were to go to like a very scenic place, say the equivalency to the Yellowstone National Park or Niagara Falls in America. Here in Taiwan, to be somewhere like the Salmon Lake, which is like a beautiful lake in the middle of Taiwan. Say if you went for a weekend and you came back, you talk to your friends about your weekend in Salmon Lake. The first question they would have is, hey, did you eat the famous tea eggs or the famous dumplings when you were there? Not that. Have you, what was the scenery like? Oh, what was it like? It's not. It's always about food, 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 food. And on the way there, if you were to go with a Taiwanese friend, you would have to stop 5 times for some famous snack on the way. I kid you not. It's ridiculous.
That's so funny. That's definitely not a part of American culture, although, I think we're up to like 80% obesity rate or something. So people might be surprised to hear, for my international listeners, that is not a part of American culture. Although we do have some things that we talk about, like here, this is so American, Buc-ee's. Do you know what Buc-ee's is?
Buc-ee's, is it new?
I don't know. It's new to me, but it's very much like in the Alabama, Florida area, and it is a gas station, but it has
Gas station. Oh my God. I miss gas stations in America so much.
Why?
Oh God, mail me like half a dozen of those powdered donuts and like a big fountain drink for 99 cents. Does it still exist?
Yes, unfortunately,
Oh
they
no, I
exist.
miss
They're
it so much. And
terrible.
beef jerkies too.
Maybe I'll mail you some beef jerky.
Oh gosh.
Well, that's funny that you said beef jerky, because that's what Buc-ee's has. So it is giant. I mean, a giant, giant place. And when you walk in, there is a beef jerky bar. So it's almost like a buffet, and you pick which beef jerky you want. So they've got all different kinds and all different seasonings. They have like a whole sandwich area. There's just like basically crappy processed food everywhere, but it's still delicious. And
Don't feel guilty.
and there's just touristy stuff that you can buy, and people make Buc-ee's a destination, and so that might be like the American version of that. So if you ever come visit me here in Florida, I will totally take you and your husband to Buc-ee's, and we will have a good laugh about it. We'll video it for all your friends back in Taiwan.
Oh my God, it sounds like heaven. All right, that's it. I'm getting on the next flight to go to Buc-ee's. Not even America. I'm just going to Buc-ee's and then I'm coming right back.
I love it. So talk to me about drinking culture. How is it different in Taiwan compared to the US?
Oh, you Americans can drink. I'm telling you. uh, well, I mean, again, like with the younger generation, people definitely start drinking a lot more here in Taiwan. But traditionally, it's still like there is still a little bit of taboo. It's 100% legal. Drinking is legal in Taiwan, but Taiwanese people definitely don't drink as much, and they cannot drink as much. We talk about this Asian flash all the time, don't at the bar. So Asian people, I think we react to alcohol a lot more different than I think we're just not built to drink. I think physically we're a lot smaller. Um, so I mean, I own a bar on a beach, and I get all kinds of different customers. And the reason I opened an American theme bar is because I want to attract more foreigners, because if I only do business with the Taiwanese people, I might be closed pretty soon, because Taiwanese people, they're lovely, great, they love having a good time. They just can't drink as much. Americans can drink so much more, and they definitely outdrink Taiwanese people. And also, like, Taiwanese people have this idea that they drink to get drunk. So they would go, oh, right, come on. Let's say they want to go cheers, which means like they would go 干杯, which means bottoms up. And they want to like jostle with their friends, just go ahead and drink. And an hour later, they're on the floor. As opposed to American, you would just chit chat to each other, drink another one. You don't need people to push you to drink, and you can drink on your own, and you can finish about 10 bottles of beer in 2-3 hours.
That is the truth. I have witnessed that. I can't drink like that, but I have plenty of people around me that definitely fit exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, Americans definitely drink more.
So, and Americans also don't travel as much as the rest of our fellow Earthlings. And I think we miss out on a lot. What do you think would change about American culture if we did travel more often?
I think Americans are lovely. I really, really, really love Americans. I think I've always gotten along with most of my friends are Americans. And I think Americans are very open-minded. They just need to see other cultures. They just need to, and some Americans that are like, a lot of times, if I met them in Taiwan, it's the first time they travel, or because we get a lot of English teachers that when they graduate from the university, they want to travel abroad. They choose to go to a country to teach English for 1 year, and that's how they experience living abroad. And I have experienced some Americans that's being out of the country the first time in their life, and they are great, because I always click. I can always tell, oh, you're American, you're Canadian. Because I definitely connect a lot better with Americans, because Americans are fun. I think that's one way to Canadians are great too. I love a lot of my friends are Canadian.
You can hear Americans coming, right?
Yes. Loud, obnoxious, but very fun.
I love how honest that is.
But very fun people. And I think because you are already like honest and fun, so if you get to experience more cultures, you get to learn a lot more, and you are already open-minded, and it makes it, I think you don't want people to call you ignorant. The only reason you would be ignorant is because you just don't know. And if you have the opportunity to see the world, to meet different people, to understand it for different cultures, that's priceless, I think. Yeah.
I agree. What do you feel like, having seen both of the world of Taiwan and the American world, what could we learn from each other? What are the takeaways from both cultures that, if you combine them, would be a huge asset?
I think definitely to learn about the openness in America, say what you see, um, and be fun, enjoy life a little more. Don't think about, oh, I'm young, I need to work, save money until when? Like American mentality is that, oh, I live at the moment, and that is wonderful. You don't worry about what tomorrow might bring. I mean, it might bring a pandemic that stop you from doing any activity. That is what the Taiwanese can really learn of Americans. And from Americans' perspective, I think the humbleness, the kindness of Asian culture, Taiwan in particular, Taiwanese people are the most generous. They would do things for you without asking anything in return. And I think Americans are not saying they're not generous and kind, they're more guarded. They don't trust people that easily. Maybe it's because the higher crime, not as safe in the society. So they don't trust people as much as the Taiwanese people. Taiwanese people will find your wallet, turn it in, not even just turn it in, help find the owner and call and help the police phone it in. And you can always leave, not always, but you can leave your key in your scooter and forget about it and come back, it will still be there. And even better, they will pull it out and put it in the compartment just so other people don't see it. And that kind of helping people that you don't know and without asking for anything in return, that kind of humbleness, that kind of kindness is something that Americans can really learn of the Asian culture, I think.
I think you're right. This is awesome. I could talk about this subject forever. I'm so glad that we were able to connect. And although I'm sorry that we have time to do this because your bar is closed right now due to the pandemic, but do you want to give the listeners a shout out about your bar in case they come visit you after the borders are open and want to come see you?
Yeah, most definitely. My bar is located in the southern tip of Taiwan. It's called Cowboys Beach Bar and Grill in Kending. It's located on one of the most beautiful beach. Not only because it's beautiful and also because we keep it that way. Our number one goal is environment. So every month we do beach cleaning. Not because people litter all the time, but a lot of it is brought up by the ocean. So environment is number one. Number two is we want people to know about Taiwan, because I think tourism in Taiwan is so underrated. It's one of the most beautiful places. So if you come, we act as this free tour guides as well. We tell you where to go, how to save money, how to enjoy Taiwanese culture, if you're single, how to mingle with Taiwanese girls, boys, and just general great time.
I can't wait to go. I think we would have a blast. Thank you so much, Nikki. This was awesome. That's a wrap, girl. Woo!
Yeah.